Meeting a royal family person for the first time.
When I got married, Nepal was a monarchy. They follow the mamas, it's not as if they're going on their own, they're following the mamas and the sisters and the girlfriends and whatever. Yeah.
Swimmer still
We
happens?
still have a swimwear ceremony.
Amazing.
My daughter had her swimwear in Puri.
Oh!
So I grew up in an atmosphere that loved food. And then I got married in Nepal, and that was another foodie family.
Documented all these recipes. What came to your mind to document them all?
Lose all these old recipes, which is part of our culture and our
Right.
tradition. So if I don't document it, it'll be a dying art and it'll just go away with time.
Around 108 regional recipes, and the Rana Cookbook that contains the recipes from all the royal families. So she has compiled and documented it so beautifully. It's a must read for everyone if you are a food enthusiast. So, welcome, Rohini ji. It's really great to have you here. Meeting a royal family person for the first time, and there are so many questions, which pile up in our mind as a commoner. So, how the culture and everything else is different? Please tell us something about your family, some lesser known facts about Rana family.
I am Rohini Rana, born in Agra. I come from a state called Avagar, and I got married into the Rana family of Nepal. When we talk about royalty in Nepal, people somehow misconstrue things and they think the Ranas are the royalties, they are the aristocracy, and they were always the prime minister's family. Kings of Nepal were always from the Shah dynasty. Okay? So it was Nepal as we know it today.
Right.
Starts with the unification of Nepal as we know it today by King Prithvi Naran Shah of Gorkha. That's why Nepalese are famous all over the world as Gorkhalis. People think of them as just soldiers. They are the martial race. But because the king of Nepal comes from Gorkha, that's why the people who are representing the Nepalese people abroad are called Gorkhalis. So after the unification of Nepal, King Prithvi Naran Shah and his generals, they stretched Nepal out, literally took over all the small hill principalities and unified it. And so the Shahs have been in power for a long time there. And the first person who is the leader of the Rana dynasty was Jung Bahadur. He came into prominence in 1846. Nepalese politics was undergoing a lot of turmoil. So he very skillfully manipulated, let's say, a weak king, an ambitious queen, erratic crown prince, and managed to overthrow all the courtiers and the aristocracy at that time and took over power. And he became established the Rana dynasty, the prime minister of Nepal. And this very colorful dynasty ruled Nepal de facto for 104 years.
Oh.
With the king, the Shah king, always there in the palace, but the Ranas were running the government.
When we talk about the rituals and culture, how is it different from a common person, and what exactly you do in that?
The rituals and the culture is the same in Nepal all over, but they get magnified. They are more. There's a lot of more pomp and pageantry involved.
Right.
When you're conducting your rituals, there'll be so many retainers, there'll be elephants, there'll be horses leading the parade.
It's still there?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
When the last king was crowned, so he came in on an elephant, King Yarendra after the royal massacre. So it still happens. It still happens, I think. Like we see in England, we see, wherever there is a monarchy, there's a lot of pomp and pageantry that goes with the royalty.
Right.
So that is definitely maintained,
So in your house also, you're still like, don't you get tired sometimes that it's too hectic now?
That's a good one. Well, when one is born into that sort of a background, you are it's so ingrained in you.
Right.
The surrounding, the customs, everything that goes
True.
with it. The people helping you to do everything,
Right.
the way you conduct yourself. It's ingrained in you.
You wrote about, you documented all these recipes. What came to your mind to document them all? And I think you yourself, you're a food enthusiast. So, which recipe is really close to your heart?
Whatever I know of Nepali cooking was taught to me by my husband's nanny,
Okay.
China Champa Didi. She came to the house, the house he was born in was called Babar Mahal. So she came to work there. Her father was also a retainer there. And she came as a young girl of 15 to work there. And she trained under my grandmother-in-law, who was an extremely good cook. Rohini Rana. So she trained under her. And then when my husband was born, she was his nanny and looked after him. So she was, I think, just a part of our family. She never got married. She just stayed with us. And she taught me whatever I know about Nepali cooking. And when she was getting older, I would be asking her things, and then suddenly it struck me one day, what happens when she's not there? She literally ran our household. She was the main comptroller. She ran everything.
Right.
And from the pujas to the traditions to the rituals, we used to call her Nani at home. So Nani would do everything. Nani would know everything. And suddenly I thought, one day, if she's not here, what happens? So I thought, and it was happening in all our families.
Right.
All the old ladies who, they were called Bajai, they were the Brahmin ladies who used to be cooking and looking after our households. They were all getting old. And the younger generation didn't want to learn the same
I was coming to that.
tricks of the trade.
Right.
So I suddenly thought, if Nani is no more here and all this older generation is going away, we will lose all these old recipes and beautiful, sort of this knowledge,
Right.
which is part of our culture and our tradition. So if I don't document it, it will be a dying art and it will just go away with time.
Right. So, but when you talk about today's generation, the Gen Z, so are they really keen to follow the rituals and everything else? Because obviously now you know that they are more into technology and they want everything very fast. So, how are they taking the culture and everything else of the royal family?
Generation Z of Nepal follow their customs. They love their traditional food. They, do all the rituals, even if they are abroad.
Okay.
You see all the posts on social media of our Dashera, which is celebrated in a big way with their red tikas and the dubo ki mala, Wherever they are, my daughter and my son-in-law will be doing it even if they are in America. So they are following the customs. Seeing that the rituals and the religion and the culture is kept alive, I think the very fact that when you go to a temple, there are long queues waiting in line, and there are young people as well.
Wow.
So that is thing that, of course, they'll be partying at night, but they're doing their let's say, their rituals in the morning and doing their puja at the temple. And then they're feasting also. So it's all part of the Nepalese culture.
Right. So Mama has told to go to the temple. So let's go to the temple in the morning and let's party at night.
Well, they follow the mamas. It's not as if they're going on their own. They're following the mamas and the sisters and the girlfriends and whatever.
Right. Yes. Okay. So how has been the career opportunities for the women, especially in the Rana families, if we talk about the past and present?
But basically, you were inclined toward wanting to do some social service, right? So teaching was a good line.
Yeah, exactly, right.
And
like every household says, B.Ed kar lo. So once you do B.Ed and you become a teacher.
The safe areas. Yeah. But because I had done honors in English literature, I was very fond of writing.
Okay.
So my in-laws used to say, okay, write articles, So I was a freelance journalist sometimes and, doing things like that. So I think in Nepal, it's not so rigid. We were allowed like I told you, in certain areas, you were encouraged to go and work.
Right.
In my mother-in-law's time, I don't think there were any arenas for that. The ladies who got married into Rana's family lived within their families, in their homes, and Didn't really. Again, she did social work. They'd go to the Red Cross.
And your husband also chose to serve the Nepal army, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah. My husband is 9th generation army.
Oh.
From
Amazing.
Jangbal's grandfather who was in the army, starting to all the, all the ancestors down to him. He's the 9th generation, and he has been lucky to make it to the commander-in-chief of the Nepal army from 2012 to 2015.
Okay.
He was the chief of the Nepal army.
So now the situation is such that I don't know, you have to guide me, or tell the audience, because there is very less literature available online about the democracy in Nepal. How is it working out? Is it working out really well for businesses and other arenas, or probably people want the monarchy back?
You see, we had a monarchy for a long time, a total monarchy, like England and like Sweden and like a lot of other countries. And when the Rana rule, the regime was finished in 1951, the Ranas were autocratic, right? Total control. The king was always there, he was the monarch. So King Tribhuvan, with the help of the Indian government, escaped to India. He just left his second son there, because there has to be something on, someone on the gaddi. You can't leave the gaddi khali. So that time, Prince Gyanendra was left behind. He was 2 years old, and King Tribhuvan escaped to India. He came to India, to Delhi, and then democracy was restored with the help of the Indian government. The Nepalese Congress was already very strong, so it was a democratic party. So it was restored, and King Tribhuvan came back. He was, of course, but there was, established prime minister, democratic government was established. King Mahendra took after him, his son, in 1962, and he did what was called at those times, popularly was called the royal coup.
Okay.
So he took back power from the democratic setup, right? So the prime minister was there, the parliament was there, he put them in jail. Very famous BP Koirala, a couple of the Congress members were put in jail, and he took back power to the monarchy, and total monarchy again for a couple of years ran, and then his son King Virendra took over. The same thing, there was no constitutional monarchy, proper monarchy. When I got married, Nepal was a monarchy. It was the only Hindu kingdom in the world, it was monarchy. So very, very interesting. Then the flow of change came in. And King Virendra could see that, the writing on the wall. So he had a referendum, and then he became the constitutional monarch and had a democratic setup.
Coming to your, the recipe cookbook, which is so fantastically written and documented. I would like to know, I was just going through certain things. Over there, pork and chicken, that is like not accepted by the royal families, because chicken, they peck their beaks into the dirty things, so chicken is a complete no-no. But whereas wild boar, the jungli suar, which we call, it is like treated as very royal and served so beautifully at every occasion. So I would like to know something about that.
So this is a typical traditional Hindu thing, I think. It's not just with the royal families. Any hard practicing Hindu in Nepal in the old days, let's say, right? Let's say my in-laws generation or my grandfather-in-law's generation, not mine. They would be very strict about what they ate. So whether it was a Brahmin cooking for them, because the caste system prevails, and we were the only Hindu kingdom till a couple of years back. So whether it was a Brahmin cooking for them or their own ladies of their own caste of the family cooking for them, then they would eat rice. Rice is the main thing that should have been eaten by a Brahmin, and rice is the staple food of them. So or your own family member cooking it.
Is it still dominant, that caste system?
Well, very few families still have that custom. Since everyone, modernization has come in, and no one can afford literally to do these sort of things.
Absolutely.
Right? So that, and the chicken and pork, the pig, were like considered not very healthy because they ate on dirt. Like you said, the chicken pecked dirt, the pigs also ate dirt.
Then why wild boar?
Wild boar is jungli.
Right.
It's from the jungle,
Okay.
and it hasn't eaten any dirt. It's grown up in a very,
Isn't it very ironic?
very, very, let's say,
Okay, let's accept the
organic
way.
atmosphere. So the wild boar was considered to be, that had to be occasion, any festive occasion.
So now it's not there anymore. I mean, or it still
you won't believe
persists.
it, every party, and now it's not only those few families that are doing it, dance dragon friends.
So chicken is still prohibited?
Having any function, and the three functions, the main functions, let's say where this, the wild boy is there, is the Annaprashan,
Yeah, the
or the
child's,
naming
yes,
ceremony,
right.
then the Bardhaman, which is the thread ceremony, and then the wedding, the shadi.
Bia, which you
Bia.
call, right?
For
Okay.
all these three occasions, we have something called the Chaurasi Vyanjan.
Right.
Right? So that, the Chaurasi Vyanjan hai,
The
the
Chaurasi
wild boar-
Vyanjan has got some connection with Ramayana.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The origin is with Ramayana,
Okay.
is the wedding of Ram and Sita.
Oh, yes.
So
Right.
King Janab prepared 84 types of special dishes for
Right.
his son-in-law Ram
Right.
during the wedding of his daughter Sita.
So that still continues
That
for
is
every
continued.
occasion.
We have two very interesting traditions which have carried on from the Ramayana times. One is the Swamvar, and one is the Chaurasi.
Swamvar still
We
happens?
still have a Swamvar ceremony.
Amazing.
My daughter had her Swamvar in Puri.
Oh.
We have a ceremony. It
But
is like,
then there were like princes who were lined up, and Swamvar used to happen like
The
that.
difference today from Ram and Sita's time is that there's just one gentleman that you're going to challenge. Not
That's a
line of-
fixed
You're not
match fixing Swamvar.
It's been done. It's been arranged from before. And
So
hopefully you
we
like
cannot
the
call it
person.
Swamvar. This is a match fixing
This is a
Swamvar.
match
This is
fixing, and
fixed.
it's like a wedding itself. It's like
Right.
a formal engagement.
Right,
It's
right,
like a
right.
formal engagement. So during that ceremony, and I mean the weaning, the wedding, the thread ceremony, they serve a Chaurasi Vyanjan.
Okay.
So all these dishes are lined up, and a wild boar head has to be there, a
Oh.
goat's head has to be there, fish, duck, and this huge amount of rice. So
Right.
these are all these things are denoting that you hopefully will be well fed throughout your life.
Okay.
The
So
symbolism.
Nepalese food is considered to be very nutritious, and what all do you put so that it becomes very delicious as well as healthy also?
If you talk about food which is synonymous to Nepal,
Right.
it's dal, bhat, tarkari, masu, right? So dal is your lentils,
Right.
bhat is rice,
Rice.
tarkari is your vegetables, and
Right.
masu is meat. Right? So it's a very good
Balanced type.
balance
Yeah.
and extremely nutritious because
Right.
they have to have seasonal vegetables. That is a
Right.
must. And they're prepared in a very light stir-fried way. You're not dousing them with, with masalas.
Right.
Very spices are used, and there are different spices sometimes
Okay.
to Nepalese to Indian spices, but very much less spices. So the taste of the vegetables and the meat comes out.
Right. So tell me something about your college life, or I mean, you did your college from India only?
Yes.
Okay. Which college?
So I went to Sophia College, Ajmer.
Oh,
And I
amazing.
did honors in English literature there. And it's literally 2 days before my final exam, I got engaged.
Oh,
And 8 months later, I was married and went to Nepal.
but being a food enthusiast, you were a food enthusiast at that time also?
Not really. Let me
Okay.
tell you my story is I'm born into a family that revels in gastronomy. So I grew up in an atmosphere that loved food.
Oh.
Like at the lunch table, we would be discussing who's making what for dinner, what are we having for dinner. And
Right.
if we haven't finished one meal, we would be discussing the next. And then I got married in Nepal, and that was another foodie family. So I literally went from the
And then also so well maintained. I mean, this is like amazing.
Thank you.
Because we have to count calories. No, we will not eat this. We will eat that. Still, we are not up to the mark. And I was also, curious to know about the palaces. Most of the families, the royal families, they have converted their palaces into hotels, right? So, what's your take on that?
I think it's a great thing that's happened to the royalty of India, because I call my father's generation the lost generation. Like you're born into this background of being a Raja Maharaja, living in forts and palaces with all these hundreds of people looking after you, and your every need is catered for.
Right.
And then suddenly it's all taken away. You've given it up actually.
Right.
Because most of the states gave it up, whatever they did, their
True.
lands and whatever, up to the government of India.
Right.
And it's only later in 1960 they had the privy purses. Even that was abolished later.
Right.
So they were lost. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to deal with life. Let's say.
Right.
And the only thing they did know was good administration. So a lot of them entered politics, though a generation later.
Right.
And a lot of them knew how to live well.
Right.
So hospitality was the next thing. And it's great to be, feeding people well, living well, keeping them well, and earning from it.
True.
So a lot of the old palaces and the forts got, turned into hotels. A lot of groups came and took them. Some have tried. A lot of old families are running them themselves.
Right.
As Airbnb and guest houses and whatever. And I think they're doing a great job. I think they're doing a great job because that's what they know. That's in their blood.
Right.
They know how to entertain. They know how to live well.
So you didn't think of doing something similar in Nepal?
In Nepal, no. Our house, my husband's old house where he was born and brought up, Bhavanwal, it was annexed by the government. It was taken away by the government. In fact, because his family was a little anti, they joined, his grandfather and uncles joined the Congress and were anti-monarchy. And, and my father-in-law was in the army, so it was a big, sort of situation. So we didn't have our old house. So, in fact, we were shifted out in 30 days, we were told to leave. So, the whole family was like distributed all over the place.
So, I wish you all the best for your book. May you be writing more and more books. We are looking forward to it. And do read that book if you're really fond of, trying new recipes, because this is something which is the recipes which Rohini ji has compiled. It is really close to, I think, all the Rana families in Nepal.
Thank you. I'd just like to say the name of my two books. The first was the Rana Cookbook, Recipes from the Palaces of Nepal. It's published by Penguin Random House. And the second is the same. It's the Nepal Cookbook, 108 regional recipes. So please do go through them. Anyone who's a foodie, who likes food, very easily replicated. Enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you so much.